Nick Peter-Walsh really capturing there the relief for so many of those families, including, of course, that baby. And joining me now is Michael Bociurkiw, who's a senior fellow at the Atlantic Council. He's also the former spokesperson for the Organization for Security and Cooperation in Europe. Michael, great to have you on the show. Let's talk about what we saw overnight, really, in the light last night, I should say, in Lviv. We're at, 40 miles from Poland, and we're seeing yet again Russia targeting these supply lines, the infrastructure. What can you tell us from what you saw and the sources you've been speaking to?
Yeah, well, major escalation. I saw the smoke from my window not far from here. And it seems what's happening is the Russians are targeting exactly the infrastructure, transportation infrastructure that not only moves people and agriculture and cargo, but also military equipment. The lethal weaponry can't get to the front line fast enough, I'm being told. So if they are trying to chokehold these supply lines, that's going to be a big problem. The other thing, of course, is civilian infrastructure was also affected, water, power, Wi-Fi. And if this continues, this could cause a blow to confidence here where a lot of IDPs and aid workers are.
Do you know how quickly the Lviv is, rebuilding again? Because that is critical, like you pointed out, to get not just food and goods moving, but having the heavy weaponry to the front lines.
Incredibly quickly. I spent a day with Ukrzaliznytsia, the state railroad company, a few weeks ago, and they pretty much repair the rail lines almost immediately after they're hit. So they're very good at that, and they're very good at rerouting traffic as well. There are many options available to move cargo and weaponry and people as well. So it may cause a temporary interruption, but definitely won't cut it off.
Yeah, we saw Lviv pretty much dark last night, but very quickly power came back. What does it tell you, the fact that Russia's attacking these supply lines and infrastructure, about how the war is going on the front lines? Are they succeeding so far?
Well, I think it's a sign of desperation. These are long-range weaponry, usually shot over from the Black Sea, the Azov Sea, Caspian, but they're very expensive, and they're not the most accurate in the world. But I think because of the huge losses on the battlefield of soldiers and also equipment, that they're turning to these other methods. And that's why I've kept on saying is that no inch of Ukraine will be safe until Ukraine has the ability to close its skies off to these types of weapons. And
in the meantime, we've been hearing from US and Western officials that they believe that Putin's objective here is to take Luhansk, Donetsk, or the Donbass region. You and I have been speaking about this for some time. How real is that, given as we get closer to that May 9th victory day?
Yeah, well, up until now, they've had about 30% of that whole region. They want the whole thing, including all the way up to Kramatorsk, which is a very key hub, especially militarily. I think the fact that Mr. Pushilin, the head of the so-called Donetsk People's Republic, came to Mariupol and showed himself off there publicly. It was a very brazen move, but they're showing that they have the capability to keep people around now, and that's very worrisome. But again, Ukraine needs a lot more help than it is getting now to repel them.
In the meantime, we're seeing, obviously, civilian infrastructure being hit and journalists being killed too.
Yeah, yesterday was World Press Freedom Day, and we had a panel here, and the numbers are at least 10 dead so far. That equals roughly the number of journalists killed in Afghanistan last year, which was the highest number for any single country, and it represents about 20% of all journalists killed last year. Foreign correspondents tell me that they're wondering whether now they're being deliberately targeted by the Russian side, whether it's a risk to actually wear that press sign on their cars and vests. And I've never heard of that happening before, so that's a very, very worrisome sign. But brave individuals, including colleagues from CNN, of course.
Absolutely, absolutely. Michael, great to have you on the show. Appreciate it. And Paula, I'll have much